world where achievements and accolades motivate us to do more and be more, we're often left wondering, is this really it?
Deep inside, you know there is more to life. You're ready to leave behind the old, push your way through, and claim the deeper life that's calling you.
That's where we excel.
We're your hosts, Stephanie Allen
and Maren Oslak.
And this is the Soulful Leader Podcast.
Sit back and relax as we share the shortcuts we've uncovered to help you make shift happen.
Hi, welcome to the Soulful Leader Podcast. This is Stephanie, and I'm here with Maren. And wow, what a new year we are moving into. And when I think of a new year, it's interesting. I've been presencing a lot of people being rebellious around setting goals. There's a lot of like, nope, not setting any goals this year, not going to do New Year's resolutions. Nope. Like, seems like there's such an aversion to committing to something that would actually be helpful and essentially even good for you. So I'm curious, all of you out there that are listening, if you've set goals or New Year's resolutions, or if you didn't, and what was it that was, helping you make that decision to either do it or not do it?
Well, as you were saying that, there are two things that kind of come up for me. One of them is we're at the point in the year, going into February, where a lot of the goals and resolutions that people have chosen, they're actually already starting to move away from them. So you've got two things going on. You've got people who are in rebellion and not wanting to do it. And I really am, my experience with those particular people and with that part of myself is that I don't want to do it the old way. Like, there's the saying that goes, if you keep doing the same thing, expecting a different result, it's the definition of insanity. And yet we do this thing every year called goal setting or New Year's resolutions. And by this time of year, we have already, I don't want to use the word failure. We've failed because it's not true. And we've stopped, right? We've stopped whatever it is that we said we were going to do.
Or we've forgotten. We haven't kept it in front of mind to say, oh yeah, what am I doing this for? Oh yeah, why? Oh yeah, that's right.
So we do this thing
we've
to
made
ourselves.
it less important.
Yeah. And we do this thing to ourselves year after year after year, expecting a different result.
Mm-hmm.
And so I get the rebellion in myself and in other people because it's like, I don't want to continue to feel insane.
And I think, sometimes what I've heard, and even within myself, I don't want to set something that I can't actually succeed at. And, it was interesting. I was listening to a professional speaker here not so long ago, and he was talking about weight loss. And he was very, very, very judgmental around, well, if you didn't lose weight, it's because you didn't exercise or eat right. You didn't stick to it. And there's so much more. And this is why I want to bring this up about goal setting, is that there is another way, because when we focus on the outer, the goal, we miss the journey. We miss the evolution of our internal process. And there's so much more to reaching the goal, so to speak. There's so much internally that has to happen. And so I'm going to bring it back to the weight, because we make the scales, or we make the weight the goal, when really it's how we are with ourselves, what we're thinking. It's the stress cortisol response that we have in our bodies. And what I mean by that, if you are stressed and you're not sleeping well, you are going to gain weight, and it has nothing to do about how much you are or not eating, or what you are or not eating. There's so much more going on. And recently hearing about, physical stress. Yeah, we have physical stress, but where does physical stress come from? Well, a lot about what's going on. If you have a thought or you have an emotion, it will play out on your body. And if you haven't got a way to really work with that, and I'm not just talking about the itty bitty shitty committee that we talk about, But I'm talking about even having a presence practice that allows you to bring in something greater, more beautiful, then all of that is going to play out on your physical body,
I,
everything.
w- I want to take that and go even deeper with it because one of the things that a discussion that I had had with a spiritual teacher at one point, and he had put on, 50, 70 pounds. And as he had this realization that there was something calling him to bring weight to his words, to what he was bringing to the planet. So we're talking about something way, way beyond the physical. And,
Absolutely.
this is his reason for being on the planet. He physically had to add, or he had this weight that was added onto his body to bring weight to his words. And when we start to look at language as informing us, something beyond judgment and a conversation with life, now we are no longer in that, like the professional speaker of saying that if you're not doing this, then that, which is complete judgment and completely binary and not at all true for people, for everybody that's listening. And yet we take it on because a professional speaker said it. We take
Right.
it on as truth. Another aspect that I know for myself that has come up recently is I was being asked to wait, and literally I put on some weight. And so I'm looking at a bigger picture of a bigger discussion between me and spirit that has nothing to do with the outer judgment of what is being told to me by society.
So yeah, I mean, there's so much more going on, and we're so focused on the outer. We're on the one way to get to it. And there's so many ways, and each one of us has a reason behind it. I see this with chronic pain. A lot of times people come in and say, "Oh, what did I do wrong?" or "What am I not doing enough of?" And it may have absolutely nothing to do with that. Sometimes it's because you are doing everything right and you're being called. It's
Mhm.
like we've talked about this from the wave of the future. There's something in your future that is really good and beautiful, and it's preparing you to be able to be present to show up to it, or you're going to learn something about yourself and get a gift that will help you blossom and grow. But it really is, it's mindset and perspective, but it's also a practice, and that's what most people don't employ. And so when we're going back to goal setting at the new year's, goals are like the side effects. They're the side effects. If we can go inwardly with those and work them almost backwards, it's like if you had the goal of whatever, like I, lost 20 pounds, or I have the goal of, saving X amount of dollars or making X amount of dollars or whatever, or I have a goal of running a marathon. So that what would that mean to you internally? And if you put the internal first, you're actually going to get more than what you thought you would in every area of your life, because that internal intention connects to everything on how you live and breathe and move and behave and choose. And that changes our cellular body.
Earlier, before we got on, one of the things that you and I were talking about is our internal chemicals. And I would love to have you share with the audience when you say it changes us internally. When one of the things that you were mentioning to me was the difference in the chemicals depending on how they show, why why they came to be in our body, how they showed up in our bodies.
Well, one of these things that, where I'm taking this from is actually through Alcoholics Anonymous, through the 12-step program. And there's been so much research about the drama triangle. And what I mean by that is that we get caught in the binary of I'm good, you're bad, I'm right, you're wrong. That whole separation and divide, and what they call is the drama triangle of a victim, violator, and rescuer. So
And we see that so much right now in on our planet of it's being
totally.
reflected back in all the polarity that we're seeing and we're
Yeah,
feeling. You
and
all, I
we're
know
trying to
you
make
all
somebody
feel it.
responsible for it,
Yes.
and somebody else fix it and help rescue, and we can feel it like, and if we stay there, it takes a lot of life force. And why I mean that, because that's where the internal hormones get hijacked essentially. So when we are in that victim, that drama triangle mode, we are going to be chemically dependent on creating that in the outer world so that we will have an internal fix. And so some of those things, this is coming from that, is that when we're angry, we actually get a good dose of adrenaline. That's, that lower back. And it's an upper. It actually motivates you to get moving, to get angry, to get frustrated, to take action.
So I think that I know I can relate to that in particular in my life because I'll procrastinate and procrastinate and procrastinate, and then I'll get angry at myself. And that'll motivate me, and then I'll have the energy to do things last minute and I get it done. And then I'm now addicted to that cycle
That's right.
of procrastination, last minute doing, and oh, I got it done. And how can I break the cycle so that I can get the internal chemical,
And, and,
that
and
reward without the
exactly.
procrastination and the anger?
And see, what happens is that most people get so addicted because I myself included, do things last minute because it gives me that internal high. And I was talking to somebody, a friend of mine here not so long ago, and they're like, "Yeah, but I got like 2 master's degrees, procrastinating and being fixated on the night before studying. It works for me." And I'm like, "Yeah, but at what cost?"
Right.
Like, at what cost? It eventually will really erode your, not just your mind and your emotions, but your body. It erodes everything, and also your relationships. Like,
So
there's a
it
cost.
actually technically it depletes your adrenals, doesn't it?
Totally. And when we're in a level of stress, we actually get used to it. We actually create a new normal. And we use the cooked frog analogy all the time. I say, when a frog jumps into boiling water, it's smart enough to know to jump out. If you take a frog and you put it in tepid water and you gradually turn it up, it doesn't know. It can't discern when it's going to get cooked. And that's what I mean about, if we are in that drama cycle over and over and over again, and we're angry over and over and over again, and we're getting that internal high, and it's getting shit done basically, and we go, "Oh, hey, I'm so productive. I can do everything last minute. I can get it all done." We then keep wiring in our brain that we have to set ourselves up to do that.
And it's so interesting because it's not only wired in our brain, I think it's wired in our society because that's completely acceptable and normal. Of course you would do that. And
Completely.
we literally just talked to Michelle about this and what the burnout that we don't realize we're actually even in burnout because we are the cooked frog.
Yeah, we are. And it's like, and to be able to recognize, to get off of that merry-go-round, to go, "Wait a minute, I don't want to be on the merry-go-round anymore. I don't even want to be in this highs and lows and ups and downs. And is there another way?" And sometimes we just don't even know that we don't know until we are literally depleted in mentally, emotionally, physically, financially, relationships, everything. And that's
So
our wake
is
up call.
there, my question for you, what is another way? What is something that you employ to help you to get out of that? It's essentially an addiction cycle to our own body, the chemicals that our own body makes. So it's an
Oh,
internal
absolutely.
addiction.
And so, yeah, so what do I do? So first of all, let's just explain, when those lower energies, of binary energies, right, wrong, good, bad, up, down, left, right, trauma, drama, all of that energy comes from below your heart, by the way. So it's coming from those lower energies, and we call them chakras. So we have these wonderful, beautiful energy centers in our body. And when we're constantly coming from that, it's like, these are old world things of like a fuse box in your house. You blow a fuse. Now, dang, I turned my hair dryer on. Now the freaking, blew a fuse. I got to go down. I got to change the fuse. I got to switch it's a lot of energy. But we blow fuses in our own body all the time. We're blowing our lights all the time.
Mm.
And so to go in the upper triangle would be love, loving, and lovable.
Mm.
And that's that question. And we mentioned this before in one of the other podcasts, is like, what would love do? If I truly love myself, how would I approach this problem? But that is the practice. And so is to slow down enough, to slow down and stop and go, wait a minute. Am I addicted? Because this is where I ask myself, am I addicted to this being angry, to being a victim, because it's getting
Mm.
a need met? And who would I be without that addiction? Because that is a big scary question, because you're going to have to let go of your identity. You're going to have to let go of who you think you are.
It's a huge, scary question.
Hmm.
And allowing us the space, I think that one of the things that I know for myself, one of the things that I do is when approach an exercise like this, is I assume that I will ask the question, get an answer, and fix myself overnight,
Oh
as if there
yeah.
was something that needed to be fixed.
Yeah.
And what I've learned is that it's a journey, and it's being on the path, being in the journey, and being willing to explore the question without getting an instant answer.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's being
To
in the
be in the
quest.
unknown. Yeah. To be
Yeah.
in the quest.
And there's so much power there. And I'm going to bring it back to the chemicals, because when I can be present, that's essentially what we're talking about, is when you can be in the question, not need an answer, you're being present. And when you're present, the chemicals that are released in your body are nourishing and healing. And they may be the same chemicals. It just is that your body uses them differently. And they instead of exhausting the adrenals, they
Yeah.
actually heal the adrenals.
And we have such a sophisticated pharmacy inside ourselves. And I think that's why we get addicted to being a victim and trying to fix things and wanting to control and being in that known place, because it fixates on that chemical by setting ourselves up in the outer world to fail, to have struggle, to like it's not easy. It's not joyful. And we have to push and we have to try and we have to, all of these things. But because it's literally eliciting those chemicals. And that's like essentially going and getting somebody to get drugs for you, because that's what you're
Hmm.
doing. You're setting up your life, your environment, your relationships to actually create victim, violator, and rescuer within you. And
Earlier, go
yeah, I
ahead.
was gonna say, and the shift is being able to slow down enough to say, wait a minute, can I ask a loving question? Can I move inside? And what would be the most loving, kind thing for me to do for me right now?
Hmm.
And if I didn't react, and we talked about the bird of humanity many times about one wing being very strong, the outer wing of like the go getter, the doer, the make things happen. That's really
Hmm.
great. We need that wing, but we also need the internal wing of like looking inside and saying, what are my values? Who am I? Why am I here? What is the reason for my being? What are my gifts? What are my strengths? What is the question that I've come to live into, to answer in my life, and to totally surrender, to listen and to be in the unknown. And we haven't practiced that. And that is the road less traveled. And when we start to practice that, we actually are open to being the creator of our life and being created in a way that's going to lift us up out of the muck and the mire. So,
What I love about that is, so you had mentioned earlier the lower chakras, and there is nothing wrong, bad, or evil around the lower chakras. The power in them is when we can come from the upper chakras and have our why and our presence from the heart, from an upper chakra. Then the power. So imagine the second chakra is where we create life from this chakra, right?
mhm.
Life is born. That's an amazing power. Holy cannoli. And when we create it from, when we are in a creative mode from drama and trauma, then yeah, we can push through and make our masters and do all this stuff. And it comes from this stressful place. And there is actually like we said, a cost to it. Oftentimes our mental, spiritual, and emotional health.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
When we can do something similar and come from the upper chakras, coming from the heart, coming from the even higher chakras, and still use that creative energy, now we are creating from a place of abundance,
Mm-hmm.
of healing, of health, so that we're feeding ourselves instead of depleting ourselves. And when we do that for ourselves, we do that for the planet, we do that for the people around us. And it makes space, and it creates health, and it creates wealth, and it's the it's the true creative process from that upper triangle of love, love, lover. Tell me again, what's the upper
Love,
up?
loving, and lovable.
Thank you.
It's love. It's all love, right?
It's all
And
love.
here's what's interesting: the heart chakra. If you actually look at the symbol of the heart chakra, it's two triangles interlaced, which is the Star
Mhm.
of David. And so they're two totally different triangles. You've got the drama triangle from below, victim, violator, rescuer, and you have love, loving, and love, lovable, and loving in the upper triangle, which are merging together, which lifts up the victim, violator, and rescuer. It's like when we can learn to love ourselves, when we can learn to let love in, and when we can learn how to rescue ourselves with love, not because we need fixing, but because we deserve love. It comes from a completely different place.
And it's interesting because when it comes from love, it's not rescuing,
No.
it's being present too. I know when I show up to myself and or somebody else who's in drama, and we'll use somebody else because it's always easier to see outside of myself, right? So when I show up, like, say for example, when I show up, if there's one of my employees or somebody that is all like freaked out, right? And they're in drama and trauma. And when I show up in a I need to fix it mentality, then that person is, I'm now the rescuer, and that person is a victim or
Mhm.
violated. So I'm in the lower triangle. If I show up with presence to that same person, I create space, and the creativity, the openness that allows will oftentimes allow them to find their own solution to whatever's going on. And if not, now we co-create together. And so neither of us is, I'm no longer the rescuer, which means that they are not the victim or the violated. I'm not a
Mhm.
violator. Like, we get out of the whole triangle. We, like you said, it gets lifted up to the upper triangle. And it takes, it's just being present. And I say that very sarcastically, because presence is a practice. It's not something that will just happen. It is a commitment in your
Mhm.
life to choose that. I have to choose it at all the time. And the old chemicals that I'm addicted to, the adrenalin, they want to keep dragging me or pulling me back into an old choice. And so it's something that I have to continually
You have to be
choose.
willing. You have to be willing. And
Yeah,
that's what I was gonna say. You know, what happens if you're a leader and you have someone coming in and they're in the victim, violator, rescuer role and they don't want to change? That happens.
that
They don't wanna,
does.
this is an example of people who are unfortunately addicted to the chemicals inside that they're getting from being a victim or getting from being a rescuator, rescue, a rescuer or a violator. Like they're actually hooked on it. And until that's why we talk about rock bottom, until you hit rock bottom, you're like, oh my God, this cycle again, this pattern again. I can't keep doing this. That often can make us what's willing. You know, we can go, okay, now
Mm,
I'm willing to change. But why wait? Why wait until you hit rock bottom? Why wait till your life is like horrible? Like, you can also, and I remind this to myself a lot, I can also wake up and choose to keep evolving and growing from those upper three as well, from being loved, lovable, and loving. Like I can do that. It can be from a place of great joy and beauty and meaning.
And that also takes practice
And
and
that takes
awareness
practice.
of I choose to not get sucked into the old way, the old chemicals of like, you know what? I know that there's chemicals there. Thank you very much. There's also chemicals over here and they'll be different.
Yeah.
They'll
That's right.
be, I want to create that pathway. I want to keep myelinating and you know, like making, when I say myelinating, what happens in our brains when we create a new habit is we actually trim old neurons from the way that they used to be. So we had a path, a direct path that was like a paved road. And it literally starts to jackhammer the old road and say, oh, we're not going down that road anymore. And it creates a new paved road. And that's what takes practice because
Detour.
detour, we're going this way.
Mhm.
Yeah, and that's like you said, I want to remind myself of that on a regular basis of there is a different way that doesn't have a cost to it. It has a
That's right.
benefit not only to me but to everyone around me.
Exactly.
I just spoke to a beautiful leader about this, and she came in and took over a team that was very dysfunctional. And she brought presence into that team and took a team of people that she had been told when she took them over that she was going to need to fire most of them, and turned it around and never ended up firing a single person. And two people chose to leave because it wasn't the right place for them. And I love that image because what we were just talking about is when we bring presence to something, it does create space for people to recognize this is or this isn't where I want to be. And so I not only allow myself to change where what road I want to go down, detour,
Mhm.
it also allows other people to do the same
That's right.
from a higher triangle, from the upper.
You inspire others.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we do. So my challenge for everybody this week is to think about one place in your life where you can be honest with yourself and you can say, you know what? That's maybe not the healthiest way to do that. And I'm willing to at least look at it and question, is there a different way? And sit with that and not I have to fix this.
Not try to figure it out, not try to fix it, change it, do anything. Just be with it.
Be
Be
present
with
to
it
it
and breathe.
the
If you
way
can do
that you
that,
would
be
with
still.
somebody else. Yeah, exactly. Lovely. Well, remember that you can find us on our LinkedIn page and our Facebook page under the Soulful Leaders. And we look forward to chatting with all of you next week. Thanks so much for listening.
And that wraps up another episode of the Soulful Leader podcast with your hosts, Stephanie Allen
And Marin Oslak. Thank you for listening. If you'd like to dive deeper, head over to our website at thesoulfulleaderpodcast.com.
Until next time.